Hello, welcome to the show. We'll be getting to the controversy and my imminent arrest in a minute. First, some housekeeping. I have decided to ditch Mitch and go with a young hip sidekick, the king of Staten Island, Pete Davidson. Pete, what's happening?
Nothing, I guess.
Fascinating. Okay. I have been accused of touching women's privates. Not true. I'm Italian. We talk with our hands. And all that my hands were saying was, what time is it? And sometimes, oh yeah, hear your family. Make sense, Pete?
Olive Garden's cool, I guess.
What is your appeal? Also, in my defense, not all New Yorkers consider the same areas as parks.
Yep, that right there is the once bright and shining star of the Democratic Party, Andrew Cuomo, a man where even Joe Biden is coming out and saying is grief. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Lukadowski of WeAreChange.org. Lots of creeper news to get into right now, as of course we have the latest propaganda, disinformation coming from the mouth of Bill Gates, which we're going to be uncovering in this video, detailing also the story of the decade that, of course, a lot of ruling elites and mainstream media oddly don't like to talk about. Gee, I wonder why. But before we do that, plus a lot more, the clip that we played in the beginning of this broadcast is by Kyle Dunningham. He definitely deserves a lot more subscribers than he has. His content is absolutely brilliant, as it is hilarious. The link to his latest video detailing the Andrew Cuomo saga will be, of course, in the description below if you want to watch it in full. Now, before just jumping into the news story, I also wanted to remind everyone that Barack Obama, the President of the United States, who just celebrated his birthday, was also the President of the United States that codified and put into law a bill that makes it legal for the government to target American citizens with propaganda. I remember covering that law and many people being like, how is he going to be using this? And I think in hindsight, with all the latest events unfolding in the United States, we're getting a very clear perspective of that. And this is the new norm for governments and government officials like Cori Bush, a U.S. Congresswoman, who literally, in a duplicitous Orwellian statement, defended how she needed hundreds of thousands of dollars for her own personal security, while also calling at the same time to defend the police because she's doing important work. This is also the same person that doesn't believe in your right to defend yourself, and I think her comments perfectly represent the ideology of this current administration that is literally becoming more criminal by the day, as perfectly highlighted by the CNN article that reads, Biden shows he's ready to make drastic moves against sickness even if he's not sure they're legal. Yes, the Biden administration is literally pushing the envelope, overstepping law and order, overstepping the rule of law, people's sovereignty, people's civil liberties, all in exchange for keeping you safe. Now where in history have we heard of such instances of governments promising to keep people safe if they just give away their liberties and personal freedoms? Where in... Oh yeah, all of history pretty much. And again, what the Biden administration has planned for the American people is not just unconstitutional, it is also absolutely absurd and, in my opinion, totally backwards, as the Biden administration will soon also be making an announcement that only foreign visitors who take a medical procedure will be allowed to enter America legally. This is very rich, coming from the same administration that is literally calling for welcoming and busing around illegal immigrants that come through the southern border that do not even have to be tested, unlike American citizens who enter back into the United States. And again, this is just the beginning plan of many plans that this administration has for you, but we can't say more. We're going to talk about that plus a lot more, all of course exclusively on Luke Uncensored.
Well, the balance of power has just been seized by the Biden administration. And right now, they are setting the stage for a constitutional showdown here in the United States of America. This is a major warning. Now, before I get into the report, I just want to remind you, please don't forget to check out my partner at noblegoldinvestments.com. Right now, with any approved IRA or 401 here in the U.S. and setting the stage for a constitutional showdown? Well, check out this article on foxnews.com. Tucker Carlson, CDC's Rochelle Walensky now is making the laws, and she's taking your private property. The article goes on to state that the CDC gathers information about disease and then releases guidance about those diseases to the country. The CDC does not, however, make laws in this country. They're not allowed to. Under the U.S. Constitution, making laws is the exclusive role of Congress. You vote your senators and congressmen, and they decide what the rules are. That's known as representative democracy. It's been in our system for nearly 250 years. But apparently, that's now over. Rochelle Walensky is now making the laws. Walensky announced today that she has decided to nationalize Americans' rental properties, millions and millions of them from Maine to California. Tenants are no longer required to pay their rent. It goes on, is this a good idea? Of course it's not. It's totalitarianism. But there's an even more pressing question at the center of this story, a principle that defines what kind of country this is and what kind of country it will be going forward. Where did CDC's Rochelle Walensky get the power to do this? To suspend private property rights in America? The answer is she simply asserted the power. Walensky claimed that she had the authority and no one stopped her from exercising it. This morning, she signed the official looking order declaring that her opinion is now the law. And so it is the law. But wait, you say. That doesn't seem very American. Shouldn't somebody vote on this? If we're going to continue to pretend this is a democracy, and you hear that on television constantly, then shouldn't our elected lawmakers make the laws? Nope, and they're not going to. Nancy Pelosi has refused to call a vote on the matter, and she runs Congress. She decides. Most Republicans haven't even said a word. That means that an unelected college professor you hadn't heard of 6 months ago is now in charge of your country. We elected. Article on Fox News goes on to state, if you're wondering how all this can possibly be legal, rest assured it's not legal. It's not even arguably legal. We know for a fact that it's not legal. The Supreme Court just ruled on the question specifically. The court found that the CDC does not have the right to institute a nationwide eviction memorandum. Period. Only Congress can do that. Now, the court didn't make us guess on their view on this. The court put that into writing in the clearest possible language. There's no debate about that. The Biden administration has just ignored what the court said. Democracy has been kicked out the door, and the administration has just ignored what the court said. Democracy has been kicked out the door, and the Biden administration is saying they're going to do what they want whenever they want because the Biden administration is saying they're going to do what they want whenever they want because they don't have to worry about any repercussions. Nobody's going to come after them if they step on our Constitution. About any repercussions. Nobody's going to come after them if they step on our Constitution. Take a listen to what Maxine Waters had to say on her Twitter page, and I quote, I don't buy that the CDC can't extend the eviction memorandum, something it has already done in the past. Who is going to stop them? Who is going to penalize them? There is no official ruling saying that they can't extend this memorandum. Come on, CDC. What? Have a heart. Just do it. So Maxine Waters is literally saying, let's go the Fidel Castro way because nobody's going to arrest us. Wow. Nobody is going to have any repercussion. So let's just do it. We can do what we want with regard whenever we want and stomp on the Supreme Court, stomp on the Constitution, stomp on everything that made America the United States of America because they're going to usurp their power and people on power. To usurp their power and authority like drunken people on power. To usurp their power and authority like drunken people on power. Their power and authority like drunken people on power. and take control over the United States of America, stomping on our laws and constitutional principles. I think what Kevin McCarthy had to say was really interesting. Here we are, FoxNews.com. Kevin McCarthy, Biden evictions ban is literally waging war on small businesses and breaking the Constitution. The article goes on, quote, "It wasn't just the president. The Supreme Court said it was unconstitutional," McCarthy replied, adding that Biden bent the knee to the demands of far-left squad led by Representative Cori Bush of Missouri because congressional Democrats didn't have the votes needed to pass it legally. Socialists in Congress protested, he said. What is really telling, regardless of the issue, we believe in the rule of law. They know this is breaking the law, but they are doing it. They are breaking the Constitution and the very foundation of the institution of who we are. You see, the Democrats didn't have the votes legally to pass it, so Biden usurps it, and the CDC usurps it and says, we're going to do it anyway. This is not a democracy. This has nothing to do with a democracy in the United States of America. This should be grounds for straight-up impeachment and the removal of Rochelle Walensky from her position at the CDC.
And Biden.
But nobody says anything because as Maxine Waters said in her Twitter account, who's going to stop them?
Removed.
The rhinos? They're not doing anything. They don't care because many Democrats are in the Republican Party. Republicans in name only. Many, many rhinos, but there are no Republicans in the Democratic Party. We have a real problem here if we don't start electing in the right people. Meanwhile, landlords are going bankrupt, not able to pay their mortgages anymore over and over again. How long are they going to have to pocket their tenants' monthly rent? It's already been well over a year. It's clear that there is something up there in the sky that has eclipsed the sun, and it is massive. What it is, I don't know. Some might think it's some kind of a planetary system. It could be a massive ship, as far as I know. I know that there's something up there because they're spraying the skies way too much. The skies are way too white. And our world's been turned upside down. And then to top that off, NASA says like there is a mirrored parallel universe next to ours. So who knows what's going on? Anything could be going on. CERN could have opened up a portal. With that being said, hello wherever you are in any part of the world. Hello from my heart to yours. Love you and thank you for watching this video. Please give this.
Israeli F-35S activated its air defense. Russia help Iran. According to Russian sources, Tehran is preparing to respond to possible Israeli revenge for the 2 kamikaze drones that attacked the Israeli oil tanker off the coast of Oman. Russian media quoted its military sources in Iran as saying that Tehran had brought its air defense missiles into full combat readiness, ready to face an Israeli missile or air attack, including one carried out with Israeli 5th-generation F-35 fighters. Other sources claim that according to unconfirmed information, Tehran will bring into full combat readiness some missile units in the country, which will have to respond to a possible Israeli attack by firing ballistic missiles at Israel. So far, there is no official information from Tehran to confirm the truth of Russian sources. Russian sources say that if Israel launches an attack on Iranian targets, it could happen within 24 hours. Russia has an interest in following such developments, as it will expect to receive more information and an assessment of the resistance of its Tor and S-300 favorite air defense systems, which are in service in Iran, in the event of an Israeli attack. A Russian military expert told Aviapro that Tehran could receive additional aid from Russia if Moscow decides to provide more intelligence and radar data from its air defense stations in Syria. Coincidentally or not, as we announced the day before, Iran has deployed a mobile radar station in the Syrian region of Deir ez-Zor, which has a detection range of 150 kilometers and aims to prevent possible future Israeli attacks in that part of Syria where Tehran has a lot of funding from armed groups and weapons depots. However, the signals coming from Israel in no way speak of revenge for the attacked Israeli tanker. Tel Aviv believes it can limit Iran's role in the region by turning to international diplomats using the so-called aggressive diplomacy. The Times of Israel political reporter Lazar Berman gave his assessment of the situation. According to Berman, the United States and Britain know that Iran has attacked an oil tanker, but are unlikely to retaliate. For now, Israel is aggressively pursuing the diplomatic path, the Israeli journalist said in an article, quoting Foreign Minister Yair Lapid. I've instructed the embassies in Washington, London, and the UN to work with their interlocutors in government and the relevant delegations in the UN headquarters in New York. According to Berman, creating a strong international response would be a great achievement by the Lapid-Bennett government. Yoel Guzansky, a senior fellow at the Institute for National Security Studies in Tel Aviv, is also of the opinion that Israel will not respond to Iranian aggression. It's a bit of a strain, Guzansky said. I would advise Israel to leave. Iran has made a mistake and will pay for it on the international stage.